Hey guys, how's it going and welcome back. Well, it is time for the review for the iPhone 12 mini. So, it's really not all that mini when you think about it, because here's an iPhone 8. There's not a whole lot of difference, but there is some noticeable difference for sure. It's also a lot thicker, which I like. It's kind of nostalgic. Reminds me of the iPhone 4s, 5s, and the SE, original SE. And of course the iPhone 8 and the SE 2020 are virtually the same in many ways. But the 12 is definitely a unique, one-of-a-kind phone for sure. It's faster. It's got a nicer display. It has absolutely no fingerprint access because it's a swipe deal. So no more home button. More screen real estate, which is nice. So if you wanted a fuller size screen, you asked for it, you got it, kids. Now this does create a bit of a problem though with no Fingerprint ID, because during the pandemic we have to wear masks. Now you don't have to in your car, you don't have to at home or if you're walking around on the streets, but if you're going into places like banks and grocery stores and stuff, and you happen to require getting into your phone, which would require Face ID, well, you're going to have to just type in your password. That can be a little annoying. But hey, I don't care either way. I do find though that Face ID actually works quite nice. I'm actually on an angle and it still sees my face at enough of an angle, it just unlocked my phone. So I can just do that again and boom, it can unlock that easily. So the camera does pick up a bit of an angle, grabs my face. The other thing I found is the thing still recognizes my face even with sunglasses on. But once you throw that mask on your face, forget it. It's game over. No Face ID. So anyways, let's crack into this. Now you do have instant access to your flashlight and your camera without even opening, but you can just open things up and launch your programs for that manually. Now I have my Gmail account, my Messenger, my Facebook, my regular Hotmail account, all working on this thing. I do texting on it as well. I watch YouTube videos off and on during the day. I'll play some video games that I've got a couple of games installed. I still have more to still install yet, just have been doing so many other things. But I have put in a couple of games that I know do give the thing a good run for its money on the battery and, steals processor power and all that sort of thing. And I am still, even with making phone calls and doing all that during the day, I'm still getting about 50% of my battery by the time midnight rolls around, because I usually don't go to bed till midnight. So I'm getting exceptional battery life, and I am up usually between 6 and 7 every morning, and it comes off the charger, and I do my stuff, and away I go. Now, the most I've drained this battery so far is down to about 36%. I was talking to a buddy of mine yesterday. I'd already spent the day in town in North Bay. We went to Walmart, a few other places that we can still go to during the lockdown. And I was on the net searching because I'm looking for a new computer monitor for my tower. I want something bigger and cooler. And I've made a decision that I think I'm okay with. I still have another week and a bit to think a little bit more about my choice and see if that's what I really want. And then you'll see something new on the channel for my computer, which will be a really new kick butt monitor. In the meantime, I wanted to get this video done. Now, I did buy an ESR case for it, which we will have a separate review on, and it came with some glass specific to this phone, which fits it absolutely beautiful, and the case is awesome, but we'll talk about that again, like I said, in another video, because we want to talk price and everything else. But the phone I got through my cell company, and it only cost me like 26 bucks a month, plus my data plan, which is like expensive anyway. But really, really impressed with this phone. I love having the larger screen available to me over top of the SE and the 8. Now you guys know I got the SE 2020, I love it, but I gave it to my wife and I got this one. And then now I have the 8 back from her, which, as far as screen real estate goes, I mean, for two phones that are almost identical in size dimensions, you have a lot less screen on the iPhone 8 and other phones that have home buttons. Where this, you get access to like 98% of the screen. So that's actually pretty good. Now, one thing I find that's interesting is this whole swipe routine. Going sideways, we can get into where our widgets are. And of course our battery indicator is there to tell us the percentage of what's left. So if we go and we swipe the other way, of course that's our desktops for our apps and whatnot. We keep going, we get into this app library area where all of our apps are. Okay, like all of them, right? And that's kind of a cool little thing. I like that. That's neat. Now, there are a lot of apps I do not use. I hate them. I have no use for them. That is me. It's my preference. We're all different. So all the apps that I know I'm never going to need or use, I throw into a separate folder. Makes room on my home screens for more files if I want to download programs in or whatever, right? So that's kind of a neat way to organize. I like that. You can even give the folder a name if you want. It's up to you. I haven't bothered. I just call it folder. Anyhow, so battery life seems to be exceptionally good. But there's another reason why I'm getting exceptional battery life, which I also want to discuss with you. When you get rid of those widgets from the widget screen, okay, good to do it because those are chewing your battery, they're chewing up processor, they're chewing up RAM because widgets are programs that run and they do chew up these resources. Not as much as the full app of that does, but they're still chewing it either way and still constantly talking back and forth to a cell tower, even though your phone would do that anyways for send and receive to, you know, keep your connection, and if you're expecting a call or making one, you'd be able to. But those widgets are also flying out to the internet all the time, as does Facebook, Messenger, and your email. Even though those programs aren't technically running right now, they are still running. They are still connected because they're still updating all the time with new emails. You can see I got 4 emails waiting here and everything else is clear. Now, there are no apps in the background, but I'm going to fire up some apps and we're going to go through them mainly because I want to show you something. So we'll go reminders. We'll fire up the camera app and we'll fire up pages and let's fire up Zedge. Okay. Now, I have all those programs that are up and running. They're chewing up my wireless internet or my cell data, whichever one is active. They're chewing up RAM for running programs with, you know, and they're also chewing up the processor just sitting there. And, you know, to find out where they are, you gotta do this funny swiping action, which is kind of weird. You gotta push down. You almost have to activate another app to get to them. It's kind of a weird motion going up this way. So now you can see these apps are in the background. So they're not shut down. So we got to go like this, and they're all down. Now, the other thing I want to show you is actually in settings. Now, in settings, all those programs that you put into a folder, all those widgets you disabled, now they're all programs that live in the list here. And so let's say, for example, notes. Okay. Now it's using on my iPhone account is off, password, default account, iCloud accounts. So this is not a program that uses cellular data. Okay, and it's really not doing a whole lot unless you activate it, which is fine. So if we go into something like stocks. Stocks uses cell data. It's also a widget in the widget area. So you have a stocks app and you have the stocks widget. If you have cell data turned on, it's going back and forth, it's using up your phone data, right? Because it has to constantly communicate to keep the stocks updated in the background. Turning off cell data is going to stop that from happening. So unless you need stuff from the stock market, ditch it, disable it. Okay, including background app refreshing. Also do that as well. This is going to save you on battery power. It's also going to free up your cellular connection much better and stronger as well. So it's going to help strengthen your cell connection to the tower for talking on the phone with even less dropped calls. Okay, by having all this stuff shut down that you don't need. And of course it saves on your data and it's saving your battery because it cannot run now in the background. It's disabled, right? Now Siri, of course, is something that needs a cellular or wireless connection to always be active on the internet, and that's fine. It's an app, and I don't mind having that go in the background and doing its thing so that I can use Siri when I want to. Same thing with health. Health has different things, data access and devices. So if we go in here, we see all the lists and data devices. We go into health. Delete all data from health. You don't really have to worry about the health one too much unless it's actually running in the background as a widget, or you've got it up and running and it's in the background, it's still running until you shut it down. But there's a lot of other programs that are going to use up your stuff, and that you don't want. So otherwise you lose battery too, right? So in photos, I want to show you something. There are some downsides to this phone, okay? It is a pain to swipe, but you'll get used to it. Once you're used to it, you're good to go, so I can't really ding that. What I am going to ding is when it comes to the bottom area. Transfer to Mac or PC. Every cell phone from Apple that I have owned up until now, I have even done, resets of the phones before too, right? Because every once in a while I reset my phone, kind of like my computer. Clears all the junk out of there, makes sure there's no buggies, and we start at square one again. So every single time I use the camera or whatever photos I want to transfer, whatever, I've always been able to just plug it into my computer, and I see the icon on the desktop, I go into it, I copy the files off I want, and I'm done and I'm out, and I disconnect my phone from my computer. Now it's set at automatic from the factory, which you would think it would have enough intellect in it to say, okay, I'm hooked to a Mac or I'm hooked to a PC, because I happen to have both in this house, okay? And I use my PC a lot, especially for videos and for editing videos, mainly because it's called quick and dirty, okay? Intro, outro, a little bit of shaving here and there on the main video, we're done, okay? And I do that with Movie Maker on my PC. On my Mac, I'll do more complex stuff with iMovie. Now, here's the thing. I plug it in, I see the icon, I open it up, I see my photos and pics I want, I go to copy them, they refuse to do it. I looked up several videos on this, and one guy come up with a solution that says, hey, change your cable, you got a bad cable, that's why you're getting that error. And look, I changed the cable and it fixed my problem. For him, yes. For the rest of the planet that got on that video, okay, even I tried it, because I'm like, no way a brand new cable is bad, right? Yeah, it can happen. Not every cable in this house, not even my used cables, it all work perfectly fine on every other device. Now these are lightning ports too, right? Which is another thing. Lightning to USB. We'll get into that in a minute. Or sorry, lightning to Type-C. So with automatic, it doesn't know what it's hooked into. So it can't copy the files. It'll start and then error out. So I fought with this and fought with this, and I finally found, hey, let's go in and see what's happening here. So I checked this and it says keep originals. I'm like, well, what's the difference? But hey, you never know, right? So we say keep originals, and now all of a sudden I plug it into my PC, I can copy the files. No problem. All day long, I'm having fun. So make sure that is set on keep originals, especially if you have a PC that you're using your iPhone with. Because not everybody who has an Apple device, like an iPhone or iPad, has a Mac computer. And that's when we get into the problems with the Mac. With the Mac, you're going to require iMovie or another compatible program to get access to your photos and your videos, especially if you are physically hooking the phone to your Mac, okay? Because it's not going to give you an icon on the desktop. iTunes doesn't exist anymore. It's just a music program. Among other things, right, have changed over the years. Big Sur has got some downsides too with this phone, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, are you kidding me? Is this bad? So Mac people, you have one of two choices here, okay? You can airdrop your files from your iPhone to your Mac, okay? And in which case you get your photos intact, and your movie files will come off as MPEGs the way they should, and go right on your desktop or wherever you save them, okay? That's one way. Now, but here's the problem. That's using your cellular data or your Wi-Fi, okay? Now, for me living in the country, we are on a data hub, okay, which is our internet, and we get 100 gigs a month, and that's it. And then we really pay a big bill after that. Now our main bill is huge enough as it is. It's very expensive to run these rocket hubs, but it's all we got in the country that we can make use of that's got any kind of even speed to it. So that being said, okay, if you're in that same type of a position, then it's going to be using that up. And you have to have a Wi-Fi connection with AirDrop, right? So it's kind of like, this kind of really is sucking bad now. But that's an easy way to get them from your iPhone to your Mac, as long as you have a Mac that supports AirDrop, because not all Macs ever did. Nowadays they all do. But the other option, of course, is going through iMovie or some other program. The problem with doing it that way is if you have photos and videos that you want to snag off the camera, off the phone, you're going to have to import first, then save as a raw format. Then you can go back and edit your stuff later. Okay? I'm beginning to understand why people are just doing a lot of stuff on iPads now, because the new iPads can virtually replace a computer in many ways, and you can do all your editing on your iPad and stuff, but that becomes the next problem too. How do you connect this to your iPad? You don't. You AirDrop it. So either way, it's an AirDrop routine, and it's going somewhere in your iPad. And then you got to locate the folders there, right? Yeah, this is becoming more trouble than it's worth in some areas with the iPhone communicating with the Mac. It should communicate no differently than it does with a PC. Give me my hard drive icon of my SSD drive that's in my iPhone. Let me open it. Let me copy my stuff where I want it to go, because I don't want to have to be forced to take a file and import it, because when I copy it out of the window and directly to the desktop, it's an XML file. So now I have to actually save it, turn it into an MPEG from iMovie, which can make things either shrink down or grow more, which can cause issues for trying to edit your videos later. And of course your picture files are going to be a different way to deal with things too. And it's like, oh my gosh, you just plug it into a PC and your life is so much better. You know, it seems like Apple is favoring the PC world and not favoring their own world anymore when it comes to this file transfer stuff. And it's just crazy. So there are downsides to the phones nowadays. So that's kind of something you really want to be aware of. And I do have videos on it, because I called it the Apple's biggest blunder with this phone. And then of course the blunder fix is only for Windows users. So I have fixed the problem for Windows users. Put it on Keep Originals. The icon goes on your Windows area where your drives are. Open it up as normal and copy. You're done. You know, no hassles, no problems. It's a plug and go. It's friendly, right? Where Mac to iPhone is not so friendly anymore. So hey, that's the way things are going. Anyhow, there is no Fingerprint ID on this. Now, to put it into a home button would be kind of dumb, because then if they would have done that, you're going to have to buy cases that don't have the home button protector. So, I mean, the new iPad Air 4th Gen has Fingerprint ID on the home button, which is kind of cool, because there's no more home button on the iPad like you're used to on a normal iPad. So they're slowly trying to do away with a lot of buttons and stuff, which on one side I can understand and agree with, but on the other side I totally disagree with the idea completely. However, that being said, we have great battery life once we set things up right. I love the extra screen real estate, fantastic. I love the design. I also got mine in blue. That is another thing I can appreciate, is Apple is actually adding some color to your life. Kind of reminds me of the old Apples. If you remember back in the days, they had the apple with the bite out of it and the different, colors and stuff. Now they're back into doing colors, and that is fantastic. I like that. Now it does have a glass back. It does support charging wirelessly, which is also a great bonus. We have 2 cameras on this, okay? Higher up phones, of course, you're going to get 3, right? Like, I have no use for 3. I'm good with 1, but these record simultaneously together. And you do have 4K front and back. And it's like, that is awesome. It's like, oh, 4K, you couldn't ask for nicer, and we can do 4K 30 frame per second on the front and 60 out of the back. And the 4K imaging is just fantastic. And we go to HD, HD60, HD30, HD60, 4K60. Now front camera is HD60. Oh, we do get 4K60 out of the front as well. Totally awesome. Okay, so that's one thing I didn't touch before. But I was playing with the camera for a second, just checking those. But yeah, so I really do love the phone. It's not costing me an arm and a leg, at least. It's through my cell courier, so it's a monthly deal for 24 months. Now at the end, I do have to pay $380 if I want to keep it, or I can just turn it in and get another new iPhone, which I'm thinking, you know what, I'm just going to turn it in and get a new iPhone. You know, I mean, 2 years, you know, Apple's going to have like 30 new phones in the next 2 years, so they're going to have something that appeals to me more than the 12 does. But do get a case. The ESR case is nice. It's definitely going to protect that back end. You know, it does have raised lips on the front too, which helps with your grip on the phone, but at the same time, it's going to definitely protect that screen. Okay, at least when you put the phone face down. And do get a screen protector as well. My case actually came with 2 screen protectors with it. They're tempered glass. Tempered glass is the only kind of protector that is going to save that screen, other than being extremely careful with your phone. But it also preserves your main screen and keeps it in perfect condition. So if you're thinking about resale value later, protect your back end, protect the front end. You're going to get a higher resale value out of your phone later if you decide to sell it. So, I think in all, the phone deserves a dual rating. This never happens very often, and you guys know that. You know you're never going to get a 5-star out of me because it just doesn't happen. But with battery life, once you've set things up the way I personally do, you're going to get really good battery life. Like, I can make it through the entire day. On average, I got half my battery left. Last night was the exception, talking way too long, plus everything else I did. I was down to like 36%, which realistically I could have just left it off the charger and gotten almost another day out of it, or at least the better of a day, you know. But if you are a heavy phone user, you might want to think about changing some things about your usage, or carry a charger pack with you, like an emergency power bank. That would be an idea, because even in the higher end, bigger iPhone 12s, they may have a slightly bigger battery, but that is not going to help you because you have a slightly bigger screen and everything else, and you know, you're still sucking the battery. So either way, I'd still carry a power bank with you regardless. Even if it's a small 1800 milliamp one, they're tiny, they cost you $4 at the dollar store, and you can get your phone topped back up quite a bit with one of those things. But either way, dual. Because of the hassle with transferring files, this thing is taking a hit. I mean, you should be 100% ecosystem friendly between your iPhone, your iPad, and your iMac. It's all I. And even if you have a MacBook, it doesn't matter. You still got an I or two kicking around with, you know, your iPad and your iPhone. Things should be much more friendlier, considering the technology is Apple stuff. Apple stuff with Apple stuff should get along better than it does with Apple to PC. But in this case, the Apple product is getting along better with the PC. So for that reason, this thing gets a 4 3/4. For the Apple side of the fence, I am putting this thing at a complete, flat-out 4. Now, I still recommend it, absolutely, because there are a lot of people out there that just have an iPhone and a PC, or they have an iPhone, an iPad, and a PC, and all you folks are going to be very happy now that you know how to fix your copy problem, and your phone will work just as great as any other phone did. For the Apple people, well, it sucks to be an Apple person, I guess, and I am an Apple person as well, and I am thoroughly disappointed in the fact that I have to run iMovie or some other program just to get my darn videos off my phone and my pictures off, and have to pre-save them first. I want to do video editing on a computer, not on a phone. Okay, I prefer iMovie on the computer than the phone versions. Okay, same as the iPad. You know, you have iMovie and stuff, and yeah, it works pretty good on the iPad. Bigger screen helps. But still, I don't do video editing on my iPad. I want to do that on my real Apple computer, you know, or on my PC. Now, the PC, like I said, we're totally friendly. On the Mac we are not, and that's why. But do stay tuned for an update review, because there is definitely going to be one. Currently my battery health is a 100%, and battery health is different than battery charging. You could have a battery health of 3 and still charge it to 100%, long enough to turn the power back on at least. But battery health is separate. And that's the one thing I want to know, is what is the battery health going to be like in the long haul? Even for me as a user, I have my battery charging for optimized. Yes, I do have a wireless charger, but it is not an Apple one. There are some things from Apple you just don't buy, and one of them is the MagSafe. Okay, there's been a lot of controversy over the MagSafe chargers on YouTube, and for that reason I stayed away from MagSafe, because it's more problems than what it's worth. So I picked this little guy up. It is called Blue Hive, and I got this from Canadian Tire, but I'm sure you can find it on Amazon or somewhere else. I got a box of 2 of these, came with cables and everything, and of course we did have to get our own power supply for plugging into the wall with, but otherwise plug it into your computer or whatever, and you'll be fine. I'm using an iPad power brick from my iPad 7th gen, because I actually charge it from another source, and so I'm not getting the full output out of this thing with my current charge pack, okay, or power supply into the cable, which is fine, because I would rather slow charge a battery than to fast charge, because fast charging your batteries is another thing that destroys your batteries, other than being a super heavy power user, okay? You're going to have shorter battery life health than everybody else. And of course I'm optimized on here too, so yeah, it's overnight. My phone usually hits the charger at about midnight every night, because that's usually about when I go to bed. Or if I do stay up much later, it's already on the charger either way by midnight. So by 7 o'clock I get up in the morning, my phone is fully charged. Depending on how far I drained it down to. I mean, if I really drained it bad, I might not get 100% charge until 8 o'clock. Big whoop. Okay? Makes no real big difference to me. Now, before we go, we have done our rating and stuff, all that jazz. I want to talk Type-C to Lightning. Why is Apple taking a flagship phone model and putting a Lightning port in it and then a USB-C on the other end? I mean, seriously. Why cannot they go Type-C on both ends? You also don't get chargers anymore. And that's another problem too. How many people actually have a Type-C charger in their house right now? Not a whole boatload, right? And you can't even find them at the dollar store yet. When they do, I'm going to buy one though. You can get lots of standard USB chargers for like $1, $1.50, $2 at the dollar store. They work perfectly fine, by the way. I've never had an issue, because I test all kinds of products, as you guys know. And right now I'm even running another new device I got in today, which is an illusion lamp off of an 1800 milliamp $4 battery rescue power pack, and it's working just peachy cream. Power banks can be used for more than just charging devices. They can also run devices. But in this case of the iPhone, I thought that was kind of dumb. Number one, USB-C, Apple's got to give us a charger, right? Who wants to spend $21 to $27 for an Apple charger, right? Because there's not that many third-party Type-C chargers on the market yet. Who wants to plug in their phone into their laptop that has a Type-C when you need that Type-C port for something else? I certainly don't. Oh, then we got to go and we got to get a hub so we can still run our devices and charge our phone. And as long as the computer's turned on, you're going to charge your phone. You want to leave your computer on all night long just to charge your phone up? I don't. You know, so you need a separate power brick, right? And that's where you come into even this little gizmo here. This charger is a Type-C USB, but it has standard USB on the other side, so I can plug it into any power brick I want. Right? Now that would have been a more suitable thing, is go Type-C on the phone and then have the cable being a Type-C to standard USB, and we can all save a bundle of money and get whatever charger we want. But again, Apple's trying to, you know, do their own thing. But I do like the wireless charger that I did buy. It works perfectly fine with my phone, so I can charge it wirelessly. And that means no more wearing out this port either. Whether it would be a Type-C or Lightning, either way. Lightning is old school. Lightning needs to completely go. If they're going to go halfway, go all the way, or don't even bother. Just leave the Lightning tech. In fact, I'll be honest with you guys, I've taken a little bit of a look into the design form factor of the Lightning Type-C versus the Lightning buses, and you know what? As far as I'm concerned, the durability factor of a Lightning female end, not the male end that you plug in, but the female end, which would be the phone, that is more durable to me and will take more abuse than a Type-C would be, because a Type-C is not really any different than a Lightning, okay? You can plug a Lightning cable in any direction, you're fine. You can plug a Type-C in any direction, you're fine. Are your data transfers any really that much faster between a full-out Type-C setup versus a Lightning? Absolutely not that much different, okay? In some devices it may be a little bit different, maybe a little bit faster, but I have not noticed any difference that is that substantial of transfer rates even to my computer. And all my computers have SSD drives in my computers. And I'm running the newest USB ports as well, other than the fact I don't have Type-C installed on my tower, okay, or on my Mac yet, but I am running like the newest version of USB. I think it's like 3 something, okay, and even at that I don't notice much difference. Now I've tried transferring files from Type-C into the MacBook Air that I had briefly, that was all Type-C, okay, aka they call it Thunderbolt, but really it's not Thunderbolt, it's Type-C. But anyways, I didn't really notice that drastic of a difference, okay? So, I mean, even if it's a couple of seconds, it ain't drastic, okay? But I think that the durability factor of Lightning is better in my opinion as far as the hardware end here goes. Cables, yes, the Lightning cable does present itself with the fact that you could easily snap that little key plug off. Well, hey, you know what? You're still going to wear out a cable on a Type-C, and you're still just as prone that you could snap something anyways on the cable, depending on how abusive you are with your stuff. I've never had problems on either side of the fence yet, so I'm not going to be too concerned about it. But some people are really too rough with their stuff. But I do like the fact that I have a wireless charger. I slam it on there. It's going to do its charging. I'm fine. You know, and voila, away you go. And so now it's back on charge, and it's going to sit there and take a charge till it's done, and as soon as it's done I just take it off. I have no cables to worry about, you know, which is awesome. I love that. So wireless charging is definitely a bonus. Anyways, that's all I got for you guys. So that's my review, that's my star rating. Do stay in tune for an update, but the update will be more geared toward battery health. How long did it take before I lost from 100%, and where did it end up after X amount of time? I will let you guys know that, so there will be an update, but it will not be for several months on this phone, I'm sure, unless something changes. But so far, everything is going peachy cream. I'm very happy with the iPhone 12 mini, and I would definitely highly recommend it. Just remember, if you are a power user, you are constantly on that thing like a madman, yeah, you're going to want to have a charge bank with you to get you through the day, that's for sure, or somewhere to plug it in to get you topped back up. But that's the same with any phone with heavy users. I've seen so many phones out there that people are like, I can go for 4 days with my phone and not have to charge it. Well, so can I actually, depending on the phone. However, you get the same phone with somebody else going, man, the battery life on this thing sucks, and 30 other people follow behind them, man, battery life sucks. It's because they're power users. There's a big difference between a power user sucking a battery dry every couple hours as opposed to somebody who actually is more practical with the device, and, well, practical to us anyways, so don't take offense. Where we use the phone for, yes, we do emails, we use a little bit of video, we do a little bit of maybe a game here and there for a few minutes, you know, and we yak like crazy on our phones, you know, not maybe as much as somebody who is, their phone is ringing off the hook every 8 seconds, but, you know, we do use our phone quite a bit. We still make it through an entire day without an issue, or having to worry about recharging. So it is going to be different, and it doesn't matter what phone it is out on the market. I really don't care. Now, you can buy higher capacity batteries that will help out a power user to get a little bit longer before they'll have to charge for the second time during the day. But that's as much as an extra capacity battery does for you. But anyway, that's it. That's all. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the detailed review. Let me know in the comments below what you thought and what you think about the phone. I recommend it. I recommend the SE 2020. I recommend the iPhone 8. No problems. Okay? And we've got them all in this house, and we love them all. And they're great. And I'll tell you right now, between people who are more of a user of a phone than me, my wife uses her phone a lot more than I do. And even with the SE 2020, she is still getting through the day. You know, where a lot of people complained about the battery in that thing, and I had no complaints. You know, so there you go. See ya!